Hello again everybody, back with another video. Hopefully this one a little bit shorter than normal. And I'm calling this, it's just a graphs and numbers game. As you probably see on, if anybody can stomach watching the news on the television, you'll see numbers and graphs, and that's what they've got everybody fixated on. And of course we've got the flattening the curve one, which we can see down here. And one of the latest ones is this nursery school style presentation of how the UK is coming out of its lockdown, and this is the one I'm going to concentrate on this video. Now, back on Sunday, the nation was basically holding its breath, biting its nails, waiting for our brave leader Boris. Of course, he was on death's door, and if you believe that, then you deserve to believe all the bullshit they're telling you, because there's nothing wrong with this guy and there never was. He couldn't get sick because the virus and the illness is a load of rubbish and it's bullshit. But he briefed the nation on Sunday the 10th of May about how the UK was coming out of the lockdown. And he basically says, you've done so well keeping yourselves locked in your house that we don't want to undo it too much by allowing you out. So basically what he did was say you can go and exercise more than once a day. So brilliant, Boris. And they're going to be very, very cautious, and they've got their bullshitometer that I'll show you later that will give them different risk ratings, and if it's really high, we go back to full lockdown. So who knows, they can do what they like with their made up numbers. But he basically presented this as I say, nursery school style presentation for the obviously for the brain dead sheeple, and it showed this graph and how we're at step 1 now, and we're coming down here and we're going through step 2 and step 3. So all this was those of you that can go to work should go to work, avoid public transport, use your cars, or cycle and walk, and then we're going to put some kind of allowance in place for you to buy bicycles. Don't know if they buy you walking shoes as well, but not a great deal of change other than you could go and do a bit of exercise. And then only if is R value or whatever bullshit they want to come up with stays low enough, they were going to open, and this is basically all they were going to do by June the 1st, open some primary schools. And then we got to wait another month. And bear in mind, the flu season ended somewhere up here, as you can see at the top left. But this coronavirus, this latest one, is a tough bugger. And it's going to stretch right over the non-flu season time. But when we got to July, at the earliest, and now they're saying the 4th of July, so obviously know exactly what's going to go on over the next 2 months. It was going to open maybe a few hospitality businesses up, obviously with social distancing, so it'll be an absolute horrible experience and nobody will go, and nobody will dare open because they'll lose more money to open than they would if they stayed shut. And now he's extended this furlough scheme where people can get paid by the government not to go to work. It's not going to be worth people opening and losing the businesses because they can't generate enough profit. And this bit is where he stopped. He never said a damn thing about what happens here. But you project this line down, it's going to intersect this axis here in about, if that's July, this is 1 month. That's something like September, 1st of September, something like that, according to this map. It's all a pile of bullshit, of course, because the virus doesn't exist, the illness doesn't exist, and they're just making up numbers. So this was the 10th of May. And what Boris came up with, it didn't actually say this, we called it something else, but I call it Boris's coronavirus bullshitometer. And this is all based on risk, and the higher you are here, the more they're going to lock you down, and if it starts to come down here, they'll start to ease things. So being as they're making up numbers, they can make this up any time. So you think you're doing all right, and then bang, it goes back up here, and basically you're locked in again. And it can go on and on and on like that. And they can do it to piss you off or piss the general public off. So they'll be queuing up to get their useless vaccine. I've changed the bullshit levels here and put my own interpretation of them so you can read that. And then just last night we had our daily bullshit briefing on the coronavirus. It's a bit of an Adam's apple going on here, quite possibly. Daily bullshit briefing on the 12th of May. And this guy, look, all nice haircut, all got the makeup on, all nicely groomed. So obviously somebody with 2 metre long scissors has cut his hair for him. Nobody else can go to the hairdressers, the barbers, but these guys, a different rule applies. And they presented what you would think was the same graph as Boris's. And what actually went up was this one. So we've still got the steps in here. We've got bit less detail to what Boris gave, but it's been incredibly confusing. But can you see? This thing is kinking up every time. And this line isn't intersecting anymore, like Boris's. And it looks different. So why has it changed? So this is the Boris bullshit infant school style presentation, and I just extrapolated this line based on this curve down, and it intersects around early September, as I said. But Boris said nothing about this step. So why didn't he say anything? No, we've got this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to overlay this one onto here. Obviously I'm going to size it so these lines match up as closely as possible. So let's take a look at that. So here we go, look. Pretty much as close as I can match it with the lines. They're slightly different, but do you see now, bottom right, how it's all changed? It's obviously lower. It's got kinks that are making the coming out of lockdown start to flatten off and run parallel with the axis. Okay, so what we've got here is the original image that Boris put and my extrapolation, and this with the red border on is a transparent version. I can't match these lines exactly, but I've tried my very best, of the one that was presented. So this one here, the big one, was presented on the 10th of May, and this one here was presented on the 12th of May. So we can see this step that Boris didn't talk about on the 10th is travelling down to meet this line around September. And if we put an extrapolation on this line, on the one that was shown on the 12th, it's not going to meet anymore. So how can such a wonderful group of government scientists and top government officials change this so quickly? I can tell you why, because it's bullshit. They don't want these lines to meet. They want to keep you, drip feed you little bits of freedom, and then leave you with this dangling fruit to get you out of it called a vaccine. They're all a bunch of deceiving arseholes, basically, pouring out bullshit from both ends. So that's all I've got to say on this one. Ever-changing graphs, ever-changing bullshit. The whole thing is a stinking hoax, but it's a major reset of your lives if you let it happen to yourselves. So that's all from me. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.